HTTP status code. What is HTTP status code? It's a 3-digit number sent by a server in response to a client request. When a client made any request to the server, in response to that, server send response message and also server send HTTP status code. So this code indicate the outcome of the request, whether the request made by the client is successful or having some error occur while processing that request. So this status code are very much useful while performing the troubleshooting and also understanding the state of an application, whether the application is up and running or having some internal issues while processing some request inside that application. So let's understand the status code with a real example. Consider a scenario where you go to a wine shop and you ask a wine seller, give me a wine bottle. In response to that, wine seller can respond in a different way. So let's see the different responses of the wine seller. First, here you go, your wine, which is example of 200 OK status code. Second, sorry we don't have that item, which is example of 404 not found. Third, show your ID first, which is example of 401 unauthorized. Fifth, something went wrong in our shop, which is example of 500 internal server error. So these are the different responses given by the wine seller. Similarly, server also give this kind of responses when client make request to it based on the different condition or situation or there's something happening inside that. So in real also you can see right side there's a postman tool where the client made a request and in response to that client get successful 200 OK response from the server. So before going ahead, let understand the source of this status code, from where we are getting the status code and who are responsible to for maintaining this status code. So this HTTP status code are mainly maintained by the Internet Assigned Number Authority team, which is a official body who is responsible for supervising this status code registry. In that we have all the defined status code, and there are other bodies who is a technical organization which is known as Internet Engineering Task Force. They are responsible for standardizing and documenting this status code. Mainly they act as an architect who is responsible for designing this status code, and they publish their status code with a name request for comment, which is RFC document, and they publish periodically. Last specification which is given in 2025, which is known as RFC 9110. Now let's see the HTTP status code categories. So currently there are total 5 categories we are having. First is informational, second is for success message, third is for redirection, fourth is client error, and fifth is server error. Let's see one by one. First, informational. The 100 series of status code indicate an interim response means these are the status code sent by the server as an intermediate status code. Let's understand with a small example with a 100 continue. Consider client wanted to send 10 megabytes of data to the server. So with a request, client will attach content length and expect 100 continue header. So when this request is being sent, it's been transmitted into two parts. First, the header is sent to the server and server responds with 100 continue. Then the actual request is being sent, and with that actual request, the final status code are sent it back to the client as a response. So there are many assigned in code in this series from 1000 to 104, and from 105 to 199 are being unassigned. Second one, which it's for success. So the 200 series of status code indicate the client request was successfully received, understood, and accepted. So these are being sent to the client in response that the whatever the request is being sent are successfully perceived, and status code success is sent to back to the client. So there are many assigned codes like 200 OK, which is very much famous for the get request, 201 which is famous for post request, and many more. You can also see the gray out one which are currently unassigned from 209 to 225 and also 227 to 299. Third, redirection. The 300 series status code indicate redirection. So this basically tell the client that the requested resource is being moved or it's not up and running for a certain period of time. So in this series of status code you can see 300 multiple choice. So this will send the some link to the client and say it like your actual request you can access with this following links, and 301 which is said like move permanently. So your URL is being moved from old uh, host to the new host, and you can, and it being automatically done. It's no need to change your URL. It automatically redirecting to the new URL. And 302 also, which is sometime page is not available for a certain period, it's being used. And there are many more you can see are assigned, and you can see 306 was unused, means these are being published earlier in the previous version for switchy proxy, but now it's being removed, so it's say written as unused, and rest from 309 to 399 are being unassigned till now. Fourth, client error. The 400 series of HTTP status code refer to the client error. This code indicates that server receive request but cannot process because there is some problem when the client made a request. Client might have missed some thing, or client might have mistyped while performing the request. So in this series there are so many codes are assigned. You can see in the list 400 bad requests. So this error code sent by the server when client made some incorrect syntax while performing the request. 401 unauthorized access. This error code sent by the server when client doesn't have permission or don't have access token to perform the request. 402 payment required. 403 forbidden. So this error code sent by the server when client doesn't have permission to do some activities. And there are many more error code are assigned. Earlier 418 were assigned for I am a teapot. Now in the latest version it's unused, and there are many more unassigned. You can see gray out from the list. 500 server error. So in this series HTTP code are occur when there is error from the server side and server receives some client request but doesn't able to fulfill the request and doesn't able to perform send the proper response, and in that time this error occur. So 500 internal server error. These are the very famous error when there is some unconditional error occur and server doesn't have anything to send. So in that case server send internal server error issue. You can see there are many more code are assigned, and in that also there are some code are unassigned. From 509 is unassigned, and from 512 to 599 is unassigned. Thank you.